and welcome. This is Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell.
Leo Kane, in effect.
Wait a minute. Try that again.
Leo Kane, in effect, here from Beryl Engineering and Inspection. That would explain why Pat, our producer, couldn't hear me while I was trying to talk to him before the show. I was potted down, as they say.
We have everything potted down. You weren't here last week, so we had your mic potted down.
It was Good Friday.
I know.
I was in Texas riding cows and eating barbecue.
Riding cows.
Yeah, you don't believe me?
No, I don't.
I'll show you a picture.
I definitely want to see it.
I'll show you a picture when we're on break. Yes.
I want to see it. Well, this is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. Adam Talley is going to be joining us by phone a little bit later to give you your insurance tip of the week. And before we dive into all of that, no guest today, so you're going to have us jibber-jabbing a little bit about what's happening in the market here in real estate. And I've got a listing I want to tell you about, actually two that are coming on the market, one today, one next week, because we had a little bit of a delay getting the painters out there to get it done and get it finished. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the new listings on the market. And I've got a little bit of fun stuff here, and if we have time, we'll dive into some of the bills that passed in Tallahassee, because we've been running short on that every week, trying to talk about it. That is a fake bull.
No, it's a real cow.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Leo indeed showed me a picture of him on a cow dressed like something.
I was just like a hunter from the Bungie popular video game Destiny 2.
And the cow was dressed like something too.
Like a sparrow, which is something you ride in Destiny 2.
I'm so glad you're educating me and our listeners, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
So yeah, I was in Dallas last week for Good Friday. Went to Fort Worth, a place called the Fort Worth Stockyards, which is a place historically where you can buy and sell bull and cow for the slaughters and the studding and everything else. Now it's more like a museum and a small outdoor open museum, but you can ride a cow or a horse. And having ridden many horses my day, I'm from Texas, I decided it was time to ride a cow.
Are you from Texas originally?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was somewhere else, like...
I reckon, ma'am, I am.
Midwest. Where at in Texas?
Dallas.
Oh, okay. Do you have family there?
I do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's dive into listings this week. We'll give you guys the market update, and then we'll jibber-jabber, I'm sure, a little bit more about Texas.
Can we hem-haw and jibber-jabber?
Steer writing. Yes, we'll do that. So the number of new listings on the market coming in at 697. We're still so low inventory-wise. We do not have a lot. I actually am going to comment on some other stuff that's been talk behind the scenes, and there's a little... I want to give you guys some data that is astounding. You definitely will want to listen to this, because it's important to the people in the market today, especially if you have kids. You're going to want to hear this. But new listings coming in at 697, price increases 82. That blows my mind. Please tell me that was a typo.
Price decreases at 612. So for every listing that went on the market, someone else decided to lower one.
Yeah, it means competition, right? If your neighbor comes up and then you're listed, you want to see how you differ from them and what their price is. That could spark a price.
I'm just imagining a bunch of like impatient people. Gotta sell. Haven't sold in 24 hours. Lower the price.
No, it's not quite that, Leo. We're not quite that. Sold listings coming in at 635. Still really, really, really strong with a 7-day trend.
Yeah, neck and neck. We're like new listings, price decreases, and solds all neck and neck. If this was a race, that would be a trifecta.
We have 20 expired listings in 3 counties, single family, 7 days.
What's an expired listing?
So it's when your house is on the market for however long the contract is, a year, 6 months, whatever. Some of them are shorter. And it doesn't sell. It just expires.
I didn't realize houses had a sell-by date.
Yeah. The contract's not going to be infinite.
So basically in a grocery store, if it's not sold by the expired date, they have to throw it away. What do they do with these houses?
They go on the expired list and you get called by 20 million realtors. I'm not one of them, but I can sell your house. If you're one of the 20 that expired, call me and I'll actually tell you what was wrong and we'll get it sold.
If you're one of the expired listeners out there that in the past 7 days you had a listing that expired, I'd love to hear from you.
I would too. I want to know why you think your house didn't sell.
We want to get them on the on-air number or the off-air number?
Give the off-air number, and then we'll get them roped into the live.
Okay. 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. And let's open this. If you, in the past year, have had a listing that has expired, not that you didn't sell and you pulled it off the market, that legitimately
not withdrawn,
expired,
which is 22.
Expired. We would love to hear from you. 813-377-2775. So expireds are even worse than withdrawn. Withdrawn is, okay, I'm coming due and I'm just taking it off the market.
Well, withdrawn can be a two-way street. It's not necessarily, oh, I'm coming due, right? So it could be the agent that withdrew the listing or the seller, either one. So it's mutual. One of the two, if not both, decided to.
But we don't hear from them. We want to hear from someone who had an expired listing.
Yeah, I don't know why we have canceled. That's super weird.
I don't know. These people don't exist. If you're one of the 20 people out there, 813-377-2775, I want to hear from you.
In 3 counties in the last 7 days that they're listing expired. I can tell you why. Agents.
I forgot I had a house for sale.
Most agents, about 65% or more, I'd say 65 to 70% of agents in this market right now have never worked in a shifting market, meaning where stuff is changing, right? And you got to price it correctly. It's not an upswing market. We're sort of, I don't know what we are, weird market, not really balanced, but it's still a seller's market. But in this particular time, agents, if they've sold stuff over the last 2 years and they don't have experience in other markets, they don't know how to price properties. And so the biggest complaint that I've gotten in the past when I've talked to like someone that expired or had a bad experience with their agent, they'll say communication.
Okay.
No communication. My house was on the market. I had no idea what happened. People showed it. I never got any feedback. I don't know if they liked my house, if they didn't. We just never got any offers, right? And then I'll get calls from people that have had a ton of showings and it's not selling. And they're like, why aren't we selling?
Could be the open septic field in the
always
backyard.
Fix it. There's always something.
There's always
right?
some elephant in the room they don't see.
There's always something. So this spring market really, we've seen a shift, I would say, over the last 3 to 4 weeks where we had a little bit of just a balanced sort of lull, nothing crazy. And the stuff that was on the market sitting is sold. Like it's went under contract, stuff that, like before that was sitting, just cleaning out.
Remember,
people are taking it.
3 years ago when we had listings we used to talk about on this show?
Yes. Well, I do have a couple we're going to talk about this week.
We do have actual listings again.
I do.
Are we going to do open houses again?
We're actually, what's come back? Broker open houses. So broker caravan, broker open houses where you have like 20 to 30 to 50 agents in your home.
Why would you want that? Unless you're selling Mary Kay, why would you want that?
Oh, you definitely want that.
If you're selling Mary Kay?
No, agents are the ones that sell houses. So you want a broker open because all these agents are going to go through your house and give you feedback. So these agents see a ton of homes all the time. Some of them are really, big hitters like me. They sell a lot of property. So they're familiar with the market. They can tell you if you're priced right, if you're priced wrong, if there's something off about the property, anything you need to tweak.
Then you can sell them Botox.
It's not that kind of party, Leo.
Like wine? Like PRP wine?
It's not that.
Not going to sell them a bunch of...
Nope. It's just feedback on the house, how to sell it. What's crazy is we did a broker open about a month ago.
Are they catered?
Sometimes. But listen to this. It's even crazier. You're not even going to believe what I'm going to tell you. This broker open, I don't even know why it was on the list, but it was. They had a sinkhole house.
Nice.
That was not remediated.
Oh, they're going to host a bunch of real estate agents in a house that has an unremediated sinkhole. That is awesome.
I was
phenomenal.
Like, I'm leaving right now. I'm not staying in here.
Extraordinary.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway, would not do it. All right. So when Mike Fasano was here a couple weeks back, I asked him, hey, you kind of do sort of DMV features. Do you have any information on people that have moved into the state? And he really did. And he's like, no, we just kind of help them, right? Like they're not really the DMV. So we pulled some information. According to the Department of it's Department of Safety, Highway Safety, Motor Vehicles, they said first quarter, and this is just the number of people that changed their New York driver's license for a Florida one. So the ones that swapped out their Empire State for their Sunshine State driver's license, it was 10,824 in quarter one of this year.
So how many more people do we need to start stealing electoral seats from New York again?
Oh, we're going to definitely have some more electoral votes for sure. Last year, it was 14,834. This is just quarter one.
Nice.
So we're having a crazy amount of people move here. Also, office buildings in New York, 54% of them are still completely unoccupied.
813-377-2775. 813-377-2775.
When we come back, I'll tell you what counties have the highest net gain. Right? We told you this was just the New Yorkers that moved. There's more
We're
people.
not doing Ohio or Connecticut or New Jersey.
No, this is just data from New York to Florida because it's a normal migration pattern. But
they're birds?
Sort of. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the counties that are hot. Stick around.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, giving you a pre-traffic update for this afternoon/evening.
Oh yeah, no, Pat George is going to do that one.
No, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
If you have any wishes to be anywhere near East Tampa this afternoon, scrap your plans.
Specifically,
Don't go, because Miss Swift is hosting night 2 of her triple sold out.
Wait, she
show.
did 2 nights in a row?
No, this is doing 3 nights. She'll do 3. This
Are
is
you
night
serious?
2. This is night 2.
It's like I'm going to just stay in Tampa 3 days in a row and sing all of them?
Yes, I'm going to.
She did something that U2, the Rolling Stones, and Paul McCartney could not do at Tampa Stadium. She sold out 3 nights, and it's not East Tampa. It's right in the heart of West Tampa.
Wait, I thought
The stadium?
She's at Raymond James?
She's at Raymond James. She sold out 65,000 plus seats. And right now, they just came over Twitter that all of the parking spots, which has never happened, all of them around the stadium, as far as on stadium property, have been pre-sold and sold out.
So,
Where are the people parking that are actually going to the concert?
Well, you're going to have to go to places along Lois Avenue and Tampa Bay Boulevard.
Al Lopez is going to be full.
well,
Al Lopez Park will be full.
you have to, though, take selling out a concert venue with a grain of salt, because as soon as the tickets go on sale, there are basically 10 tickets available for public sale, and the rest have been bought by credit card companies. They've been given away as media pass. The artists themselves are selling them, and they all hit the resale market. So
Some of that is true.
most of that
You
is
think
true.
that much?
Oh, 100%. So hearing an artist...
I had no idea that this actually happened.
Oh, the Master Nation thing is one of the biggest scams out there. It's legalized scalping. They have a whole system now where you can buy tickets and scalp through them for service fees.
Ooh.
Oh no, it's criminal what they managed to pull off. However, so I don't take a concert venue or an artist saying, "Oh, we sold out in 5 minutes." Yeah, you sold out all of your tickets to these other parties before the tickets even went on sale for the public. What's impressive is she's able to have 3 nights back to back that all of the scalped tickets have resold. So she's sold like 180,000 tickets. Resold 180,000 tickets. That's impressive. That's a lot of screaming teenage girls.
I had no idea.
That Taylor Swift could sell out
I had no idea she was 3 days in a row.
3 days in a row.
Wow.
And for all those Masego fans out there, I'll see you tonight at Janice Landing.
You're not doing Taylor Swift?
I'm Masego. I like my little easy listening jazz aquarium music, as I call it.
Okay, so back to what we were talking about with the outline, because some of the counties have had the highest net gain of people. Polk is on the list.
Of course, Lakeland's huge booming.
Yep.
Plant City, huge
Lee is
boom.
on the list, and Pasco's on the list.
Well, Lee County would have to be on the list. I mean, with everything that happened with Hurricane Ian, Nicole,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of temporary mobile workforce coming down to Lee County, saving the day.
But they would have to register through the DMV
If you're
as a resident there.
technically, if you're supposed to be there for more than 10 days, if you're living in a place for more than 10 days, you're supposed to change your driver's license over.
According to who? The DMV?
Yes, that's the requirement. And if you want to be a contractor from out of state and you want to have a presence and say, hey, we're a Lee County contractor, you need to also have a license, a driver's license. That's local. So, I mean,
Well-
there's a lot of politics that goes on to changing your address.
85,000 people have moved here in 12 months. In
That's-
just those 3 counties.
Hey, let's
Highest net gain.
put this in a form our listeners can understand. 1.5 Taylor Swift concert moved here. That's the net gain.
Okay. So one of the things, remember I told you earlier I was going to tell you something that was important to hear?
Taylor Swift?
No, that's not it. And we're going to break it down so that the layperson listening understands what this is. You'll pick up on it right away, Leo. And not to insinuate anything, but it's like we speak in certain jargon and language in the realtor world that, we have to break down. I don't know why it's such lingo. But by 2030, institutional investors are supposed to own 40% of all the homes in the U.S.
And almost 90% of all the homes in the U.S. are in an HOA.
So, which leads me to the next thing I was going to talk about. If you have noticed, right, especially in Pasco, there's some neighborhoods that say new homes for rent. Have you noticed that? Have you seen any of those, Leo?
No, I have not actually.
So they're building entire neighborhoods for investors.
Oh, when I did a bachelor party in Asheville last fall, we rented a townhome in such a development. The entire development was Airbnb, and the awesome part about it is the layout of the units themselves was designed around rental. Your bedrooms were all isolated from each other. You had it felt like a dorm room type setup. You had a central living area. It was long. It was open concept. But your bedrooms, each bedroom had its own bathroom, and they were kind of segregated from each other.
They should do that, like in concentrated areas here, but I don't think we have any communities like that. Not for Airbnb.
Well, Tampa's a tricky city for something like that because, you go to most major cities, you have a district, a downtown, a very consolidated place where people want to go. When you look at Tampa, am I going to Sparksman Wharf? Am I going to Armature Works? Am I going to Ybor City? Am I going to St. Pete downtown? Am I going to West Chase? Am I going to Midtown? I mean, Tampa's
don't forget about Pasco. There's so many things that are being built out here. I mean, there's the whole Crate community, which is just like Sparkman Wharf.
And the Chap.
Yeah. There is... We have a snow park out there, for goodness sake.
So it's more difficult. Am I going to Busch Gardens? It's more difficult for you to have a community, like an Airbnb style community set up because there's so many different pockets of places to go. I mean, it's like, I think back to Houston in Texas. That city has 7 downtowns. It's another city that's fragmented with its districts. Whereas you look at New York, you've got Manhattan. Or you look at Boston or Massachusetts, and you've got downtown Boston.
Downtown, yeah.
You've got historic. You don't have that here in Tampa. We're just these pocket districts all over the place, which is awesome for people who want to live here because you can find one that relates to you and you can live close to it.
Yeah. That's why when we have people relocating from here, I always ask them about their lifestyle. I say, tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about what you do, where you live. How do you live? What do you do for fun? And then from there, I can suggest communities that might be a match.
And if you, for fun, like to go shopping in a grocery store and then pick up meds from a market, you're in luck. You have one of those at almost every intersection.
So by 2030, institutional investors are going to own 40% of all the homes in the U.S. This is scary because this doesn't include small little mom and pop people that own investment properties. This is only like your big hedge funds, your corporations that are going to own 40% of the real estate.
So like CBRE is going to own like pockets of actual houses?
Well, look at Progressive, that investor firm. They have a ton of rental properties all over. So the point is, it's going to get more expensive, right? When you have big groups like that control the market, this is another reason why prices are not really going to drop because they're using pooled money to purchase, and then they're getting their return on their investment by rentals.
And the other thing you have to realize, if you're using vehicles like 1031 exchanges, or these investment funds are using vehicles like a 1031 exchange, which is 1031 exchange is where an investor will sell a piece of property and buy a similar piece of property to avoid paying taxes. And the taxes is something that's very important with everyone. Make sure you file by Tuesday.
Yes, right around the corner.
Make sure you file. Even if you owe the money to the government, make sure you at least file. You don't have to pay them on the day it's due, but you have to file. There's a lot more penalties if you don't file than if you don't pay. So simply just file.
So true. Or an extension.
Mm-hmm.
Or an extension.
Or an extension, yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you owe money, I don't think you can do an extension. I'm not a CPA.
Yes, you can. Hmm? If you owe money?
Yeah, if you owe money. The government wants their money.
You can do an extension on your taxes.
We need to fund the trials going on right now.
All right. So the point that I want to make on this institutional investor thing.
Oh yeah, I got sidetracked, didn't I?
This means at least 50%, if not more, of all the homes in the United States will be rental homes. So this will wipe out the middle class.
Well, this will make it tougher for people that are coming out of school right now to buy houses.
Yeah.
Because what's happening, I know where I was going with that 1031 bit. So with the 1031 exchange, you
was a point.
have a timeline. Yes, there was. You have a timeline you have to spend the money on. So I've seen these investment companies make bad purchases or overpay for houses because they have to spend the money. Because if they don't spend the money, they owe taxes on it.
Well, the tax consequences are huge. It's better to get whatever, I think, in my opinion, versus.
It could be like 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get hit by 30% of the money vanishing. So I've seen a bunch of people make bad real estate purchases in the name of a 1031 exchange.
What kind of stuff have you seen?
I've just seen people have a deal in place. The deal falls through at the last minute, and they're scrambling to find anything to replace it. That's a sticky one. That's primarily what I see. They have a deal, or they're holding out for a better deal. They're holding out for a better deal.
Yeah.
And nothing comes along.
Well, they've got a deadline. They have to do it. So one of the things, and, let's do a little tease, because at some point, the producers for your Zombie Nation House Flippers.
My A&E show?
Yeah, they're going to come on the show and talk about it. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, they will. We just did some more filming for it. Our next episode airs June 3rd at 10 a.m.
I love it. We're going to have to talk about that and probably have them back on again right before your show airs to get a little,
definitely.
little
I like that
hype
idea.
on it.
I love that.
So when we come back, there was a great Forbes article on affordability in real estate. There was some good information. The gal is a millionaire that kind of coaches women on how to be successful. And we'll talk about that when we come back, and I'll tell you how I disagree with some of it. Back in a moment.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, bringing you the exciting second half of Tampa Home Talk, where we're going to be talking about...
Well, affordability, right? House affordability. It's crazy. I had dinner last night with a long time real estate friend of mine that is a broker up in Connecticut. And I was like, hey, what's your median price like in Connecticut?
Median. Thank you.
Want to take a
Thank
guess?
you so much.
Want to take a guess?
The median price in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a basis. I would...
Just ballpark what 100,000 you think it's in.
For Connecticut. Mm-hmm. A frame of reference. I know people fleeing out of New York want to flee in that direction. So I'm going to go 6.
No. 8s.
Okay, I wasn't that far off. They're jumbos.
Yeah, 8's like knocking on $1 million pretty easy.
Nice. And hedge funds are buying these houses as rentals.
I don't know about that one. We didn't have that conversation, but I was just floored.
So are they pulling...
So when people complain about 400, I'm like, but it's 8.
So are these people pulling out, these hedge funds, are they pulling out of commercial buildings and going to residential?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would think it would be smart.
Yeah, because I know from my travels and meeting with different clients and stuff at their offices, commercial space in Tampa is being gobbled up and refilling. Like, you look at the Armature Works area and all that new commercial buildings, they're all full.
Yeah, there's nothing around. Like, you can't even... Man, I wish I had bought there 10 years ago. Everybody wishes that, I'm sure.
Silently
right?
bought 10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. So Forbes had this great article on affordability. And so this is what I was going to tell you. I disagree with some of it. The tips were great, but I just think some of them are not realistic, right? For first-time home buyer in this market with inflation so high. This gal, Bernadette Joy, she's a debt-free millionaire. She coaches women to financial independence, and these are her tips to buy, right? So she says, don't buy at the top of your budget. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, never buy the top of your budget.
She's saying,
You should buy much higher than that.
She's saying basically half of what the bank would approve you for. And that's in line, right, with Dave Ramsey's 25% rule. And it's also in line with the way banks used to underwrite.
Wait, what is Dave Ramsey's 25% rule?
So he says 25% of your income should be your housing payment. And he says take home. So that's net versus gross.
Nice.
So essentially it's way different. So it used to be back in the day, it was like 25-36. That was the debt to income ratio. So when they when a person actually looked at it before a computer approved it, 25% of your gross income for housing, 36% total debt.
Right.
That's the way they used to do it. A lot of these back-end ratios will go to 50, 55%. So we see a huge difference. And so I do think that's good advice to buy way under your means and have some extra money in your budget. Now, one of the other things she says is always save 20%, regardless of even if it takes you longer to enter the market. That part I
would disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't either.
I would disagree. And there was a great article we talked about on this show about 6 months ago where you earn more money in your 40s and 50s than you do in your 20s and 30s.
100%.
So saving 20% when you're younger impacts your quality of life more than saving 20% when you're older. And it's not that your quality of life diminishes because you're crippled and you're at home and you don't do anything. It's just that if you're making $30,000 straight out of college or you're making $60,000 in your 40s per year, the 20% has less of an impact of your day-to-day.
Well, and think about it. You've got your budget and your housing costs a lot of times locked in by that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she also said take a 15-year over a 30-year. She called it a 30-year mortgage trap.
Yeah, of course.
And so I'll tell you my take on this, and it's from experience, right? So out of the gate, when I was young, I always was like, no, 15-year, 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 right? Because I came from the mortgage side and understood how the numbers work. Looking back in hindsight and like some of my own decisions over the years, I always coach people to take the 30-year, give yourself the flexibility in the payment. Let us give you the 15-year payment. You can make that payment, just apply the additional to principal. You'll be paid off in 15 years,
yes.
right? If you're used to making that payment, it makes no difference. What it does insulate you against is a job loss, right? And so
True.
we haven't seen anything crazy like, you know, where the rates are in the, and then I saw a lot of crazy stuff like this over the collapse, right? Like people losing their job and losing their job again. And I had people that did everything right, had a 15-year, had to refinance to a 30-year and still couldn't keep the house. So that's why I say build up this little nest egg. The two tips I give people is pay the extra, but also when you buy a house, especially my younger people, I like to tell them this, open up a separate bank account. A lot of people are paid biweekly. So many people are paid biweekly. Open up a separate bank account that's just for your house. And a lot of times when we set up the mortgage, let's say, for example, this is April that we're in, right? If someone's closing in April, we can set it up to where you don't have a payment until June. So if that's early April, now you could potentially have 2 months without a housing payment.
Right.
And you've got a 15-day grace period. So if you move, say, from your apartment or whatever your situation is, and your housing payment's $2,000, round up a little if you can, right? If that 15-year payment's $2,400, put $2,400 in that account and let the bank draft it. Build up a little nest egg. Even if you have the exact amount and you're drafting half, right? That $1,000 every 2 weeks, you're going to end up with an extra payment or two at the end of the year because of the way the payroll cycles fall. Some months have 3 payroll cycles in them.
2 months will have 3 payroll cycles.
Yep. So you'll end up having a minimum of 1 month by the end of the year. And so essentially, if you were to pay just that extra on a 30-year note, it takes you down to 23 years. But I like to have my younger families build up something in there so that if they lose their job, can you imagine if they did that for years and now they've got 12 months reserves in there? If you apply it all towards your principal, you have no cushion. And if you burn through all your savings for a job loss or whatever, now you have to pay your mortgage. And I don't think I would be dependent upon the bank, you know, modifying my loan. I just wouldn't want to be in that position. I'd prefer to have the extra cash and have that in your corner because you don't want to be, so let's say someone did this, right? They go in on a 15-year and they bought a home a couple of years ago and their rate is 3% or 3.5%. And they went on a 15-year and let's say something crazy in the economy happens, right? Tech layoffs, things like that. They lost their job again, or can't find another job making the same amount of money. Guess what? You're now locked into this 50-year mortgage or this 15-year mortgage. You could have to refinance onto a 30 just to keep your house.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be.
Yeah, and now you're looking at current day rates, which could be double what you had. So I think it just makes sense to take the 30-year, build yourself a cushion, then pound down on the principal when you feel really, really comfortable. But that nest egg leaves a lot of young people very successful, right?
And this is another thing to think about what I said earlier. So let's just say you buy a house when you're 25 and you pay it off in 15 years. You're 39 now at this point. theoretically. So you're going into your 40s without the housing payment. That allows you to take that housing payment and put that straight into savings because you're used to paying it.
That's right.
You're used to paying it every month. So instead of now paying it to the bank, you pay it to yourself, and now you're building up a 401k, a mutual fund, you're building up an annuity, and that's the way you do it. If you're used to paying money and then you no longer have to pay the money, you can pay that money to yourself. And this is another technique where saving 20% when you're in your 20s doesn't make sense, but saving 20% when you're in your 40s makes sense. And that's a way you can legitimately show you how to do it.
Right. So take advantage of some of these first-time home buyer programs that are on the market.
Definitely.
I don't think you should wait, especially on a rising interest rate market. Even though we had a little drop lately, it's not long-term. Don't push yourself to save that much in a rising interest rate environment. Get locked in on something that works. It's about finding the home that you can afford that works, right? The minute that happens, if you have enough money to make it work, do it. Jump in and buy it, right? We're also seeing you have to have a certain amount of cash. We're not seeing as much seller paid closing costs as we were, pre-pandemic. So right now we're just seeing, buyers bringing their own closing costs to the table. Buyers are a little flakier too. That's why you see the pending so much higher, but the solds are neck and neck with the new, because we see a lot of them kind of back out and either fall off the market or whatever. That's why that one's a little bit higher. But yeah, and then the other thing she says is plan to stay for 5 years, which I think that makes sense. But if it's a long-term gain, you can sit on it and just keep it as a rental property. I mean, that's the way people build wealth. And back to your point, Leo, that's exactly what you said. So if you give yourself the grace on the 30-year, that was our story, right? You end up making more in the earning years of your life. Now you've got this lower payment. And if you're used to paying a higher amount to yourself in that mortgage reserve account that you set up, now when your house is paid off, you can continue to just draft that payment and then reinvest it in other places.
And then you can use that payment. Here's another pro tip for you. You can use that payment. You can start building up a reserve for your house, so you can get off insurance and you can be self-insured.
Well, that's a little. It gives you the flexibility to do it if you want to, right? It gives you the option. It gives you the choice.
I mean, now that things like Senate Bill 154 have passed, where you have mandatory flood insurance.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think Florida's going to have to change some. That's not the answer. Like what we have set up now, I don't think that's going to work.
Wait, taking more money from people isn't the answer?
Just the way it's set up doesn't make sense, I don't think. So, all right. So one final thing that she says is some people are not meant to be homeowners. And I think that's true. Some people are probably long-term renters. Just know that, the average net worth of a renter is substantially lower than the net worth of a homeowner.
Well, yeah, because the home itself has value.
Right.
And if you're not upside down in your home, then that'll add to your net worth. So that's kind of a misnomer. So if I have a $500,000 house that I'm halfway through the mortgage on, so I probably have $200,000 in upness. That's
equity.
Yeah, that's going to give me a higher net worth than someone who is paying rent every month and doesn't have anything to show for it.
Maybe $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 in the bank and whatever they have in retirement.
Which confuses me because I moved into my house 10 years ago. And the people next to me were renters. They're still there. They have literally done 10 years of rent payments to someone.
That's what we tell our buyers. You're going to make a mortgage payment one way or another.
I know. It's just
are you paying yours or are you paying your landlord's? Either way, you're going to pay one.
Baffles me. They've been in this house for 10 years. They've been paying rent for 10 years. And if they bought that house the same time we bought our house, it would have been under $200,000. So I can't imagine. I'm pretty sure that these renters have paid off the mortgage on this guy's house.
Probably. Mm-hmm. All right. So yesterday, HUD released another proposed change. It's number 23-075. This one I like.
Oh boy, we like a HUD change.
I like it, yeah. So it considers basically changing increased access to affordability and financing options for properties with ADUs. So that's the accessory dwelling units. We'll talk about that when we come back after the break, and I'll tell you why I think it's good. And St. Pete had that whole little Pocket.
Are we still tracking that corridors?
No, but I think we should follow it for sure. I wonder if there's someone in St. Pete that specifically, like municipal wise, is following that.
813-377-2775. If you're a St. Pete municipal person and you want to be on the show to talk about the new improvement corridors,
We'd love to have you.
813-377-2775. If you know someone who works for the City of St. Pete Planning Commission.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe
Commissioner.
Let's get the mayor. Let's get the mayor on the show.
Yeah, we can do that.
813-377-2775.
We might have to go to the station with Pat.
Yeah, we'll even go to St. Pete.
All right. 813-377-2775. We'll be right back.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, rounding out the top of the hour with you and Pat George from the studio. It's time for your inspection tip of the week. So we're in April. We're coming out to the tail end of the dry season. It's going to start raining, not this month, probably towards the middle of next month. It's just going to start raining every day. Now is the time to do one thing you've probably neglected this whole holiday season. You need to get the leaves and branches off your roof before the rains come. Why would you want to do that? Well, that's a good question, I asked myself. See, when you have the leaves sitting up on your roof right now, they're usually in your valleys, and they're in other, like, lower sloped areas of your roof. So what ends up happening is, when it starts raining, that's just going to hold moisture. And the last thing you want to do on your roof is hold moisture, because that starts to eat through the roof, and then you start getting leaks. So what you want to do is you want to get up on your roof, or have someone get up on your roof, in order to clean the leaves off your roof, so when the rainy season comes, water's not sitting up on your roof.
Yes, I know we need to clean our gutters. Is that what you're talking about?
Gutters. I'm talking about the valleys. I'm talking about the roof itself. But gutters are another important thing. The gutters can accumulate leaves, and then that holds water. That gets heavy. And I've seen gutters rip off from the house and damage the house in the process. So contact a roofer. I don't recommend you do this yourself. Contact a roofer. Use those websites where you can get cheap labor, as long as they have their own insurance.
No, we have a really good roofer. Call or text us. We'll give you somebody reliable.
Yeah, you want to get up there on the roof for just a normal roof inspection, but more importantly, you want the roof cleaned off of debris. You don't want your debris up there, because I've seen metal roofs get trashed in one rainy season. I've seen shingle roofs get eaten through in one rainy season.
Because there's debris on the roof?
Yeah, it just holds water. It just falls through.
So get up there and blow it off.
No, do not blow it off.
Why?
If you're using an air blower, it's like you're subjecting it to a hurricane.
Oh, not a gentle little. How do you recommend they get it off? Just pick it up?
Hire a professional. Yeah, for my roof, I just go up there and use the hands. It's labor intensive. You don't want to use an air blower. You don't want to use any kind of tools, because your roofs are fragile.
Yes.
Especially if you live in a concrete tile roof, that's very fragile.
Oh, yeah. Don't be walking on that thing,
Don't walk on that thing, for sure. FEMA Technical Bulletin 4 says how fragile your tile roof is.
So, want to talk real quick about this accessory dwelling thing? What do you think about that?
ADU? Yeah, let's do it.
So FHA is talking about allowing basically the flexibility to calculate the market rent you could get for the accessory dwelling unit into qualifying for the house.
That's awesome.
I think it's great.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's not right now. It's not something that can be done. So if you are excited about that, reach out to HUD. Let them know what you think. They're putting it out there and they're looking for feedback on it. So what do you think? You like your pass?
Oh, yeah. No, I just got handed my press pass. The Beasley Media Group chest pass. It's very, very impressive. I look super sharp. It says radio show host. I love it.
Rio's like, what?
I love this thing.
Oh, yep. So we are getting to the rainy season. And did you see that, Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, they all issued a no burn ban because it's been so dry.
Oh, yeah. No burn. I generally think that we should not have any fireworks for New Year's Eve, 4th of July. We shouldn't have any of that. No burn anything.
It could be even, something if you're burning like in your fire pit and those little ambers can start a fire.
Yeah, that's why another tip of the week, for your fire pits, you should always have a bucket of sand next to your fire pits, so you can just dump the bucket of sand on something if you need to.
One of the other things that's been happening lately is that along the interstates, people have been throwing cigarettes out or pulling their vehicle over, and when the grass catches on fire. We've had 2 or 3 fires a week now along the interstates.
That's been a pretty big thing in the past. I mean, only you can prevent forest fires. That whole campaign's about basically campfires and throwing cigarettes out the window.
Didn't they make it illegal to throw cigarette butts out the window and consider that litter? Didn't that get passed like a while back?
I think it's always been illegal to throw your butt out the window. Your butts.
I don't see police pulling people over for littering. It's just so rare to actually. They have to catch you in the act of doing it. I mean, I've seen people throw whole fast food bags out the window after they're done with them. I mean,
I know, that's so sad.
They don't get pulled over either.
Don't do that to your city. It's not good at all.
It's not good at all.
All right, I want to talk about a listing I have.
You have a listing?
This is going to be live today. It's not even on the market. So by the time we get off, we should have our photos and they will be listed. But this is a fantastic little condo in Hyde Park.
Condo? Let me see that.
And remember, Hyde Park was rated America's best place to live, according to Niche.
Building. This is in Hyde Park Place too.
Yes, $300,000. It is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Everything is brand new. It's walking distance to downtown. It's walking distance to all the shops, the restaurants, Bayshore.
Shops at Swan is a great place. If you haven't been, there's like 3 garages. They've got little shops, great restaurants, an awesome Christmas light display.
And they've been working on the structural. Have you done any inspections in here? Because they've been working on the structural stuff for the building.
They have been, but I haven't been in the building lately.
They have, when you go there, you'll see a bunch of like construction and stuff. But the good news is they're fully funded on their reserve study. So they have plenty of money to make all the repairs. And they have backup loans in case it runs over. So no special assessments.
That is awesome. That's what you want. You always want to make sure if you're buying a condominium, you get a copy of the reserves and the budget to see if they're fully funding their reserves.
$300,000, and this comes on the market today. And I have another one that was supposed to come on today, but we're going to be a little bit delayed on this one. This one will be next week when I'm out.
You're out.
And
next
that
week.
One is fantastic. It's like 5 minutes from the beach.
Oh, it's in Ruskin.
It's in Ruskin. It's got a pool. It's on the water. It's a gated community. $500,000. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's in Mar-a-Lago. I can say that. I can't give the address, but I can say it's in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you're an agent, we get a lot of agents that listen to the show. Call or text me if you think you have a buyer. I'll let you know where it is. You'll be one of the first to get the information. And if you are a buyer and you're looking to get the information and you don't have an agent, call or text me. But commit to your agent. 813-377-2775. Don't be buyers or liars like the old adage, right? That's what they taught us initially when I came into real estate school. Buyers are liars.
They are.
I don't like to believe that, but that literally happened to me yesterday.
Where buyer said they were going to show up and they never did?
No, on one of my listings, I had a lady, I took a call, and she said, I asked her if she had an agent. She said no, right? And I said, okay, great. And then I called her to tell her, hey, I'm coming from the other side of town. I'm going to be a little bit delayed with traffic, about 5-10 minutes after our scheduled time. Okay, no problem. I was en route. Took me an hour to get there with traffic. And do you know she showed up with another agent? And then I saw a message she had left me probably 5 minutes before I got there that said, oh, I changed my mind. I don't want to see it. It's too far from work. So when I got there, I had a few things to say.
Just a few.
I said, listen, if I was your agent, I would not take you to see another house until you signed a buyer agency agreement, because that's like you going to work for a month or 2 or maybe 3, and your boss says they don't want to pay you, or maybe you're fired. Don't do that to your agent. If they're professional, complete disrespect for their time. It's not more important than anyone else's. 813-377-2775. That's our off-air number. 813-377-2775. Remember, love where you live, or we're going to fix it. Welcome home.
Love where you live.